time for the Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
And good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night. It's 8 o'clock. It is time for episode 228 of the Ron and Brian podcast. As always, thank you for joining us. Brian, welcome, my friend. How goes it tonight?
It goes very well, Ron. Several years ago when we brought this podcast over to live streaming, we sat there and said, when should we do it? And I remember saying to you that I felt very strongly that Wednesdays at 7 a.m. was the time to do it. Wednesday, 7 a.m., I said we could do it.
Yep.
After that, start our workday. And you were like, no, let's do it Sunday night. And I said, why? And you were like, it's the best way to start the week. And, I don't normally offer compliments, Ron. But
not usually, no.
I'm a hard man to please. And I would just... that was one of your best ideas of all time, because I feel amazing right now. I am energized, and it's all because I'm going to sit here and talk to you for the next hour.
Well, I appreciate the praise. Whenever you give me that little nugget, I just have to just suck all the dopamine I can out of it. So appreciate that. Well, then let's get right into it. It's time for Drink of the Week.
Drink of the Week.
Na zdrowie.
Drink of the week.
Sláinte.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
Brian, what are you drinking tonight?
Ron, I had this about a month ago and just could not put it away. Sam Adams Oktoberfest. It is now October. It is the time for us to be moving away from those pale beers to something with a much stronger amber hue. So this week, Ron, as I did a little while ago, I'm bringing to you one of the better known seasonal offerings from the country's most prolific craft brewery. It's got a beer that is deep in red amber. There's a thinner head that slowly dissipates. I'm getting rich notes of caramel, roasted malts, and dark bread. It's bold on the nose, while at the same time being a luscious caramel on the tongue. Ron,
yes,
Sam Adams Oktoberfest.
All right, take a sip. Again, I've had the Sam Adams Oktoberfest. It's a pretty solid beer to bring to the table.
The thing that I like about it the most, Ron, is that they don't offer it in a nitro can. There's no lactose. This is just deep down 100% a great all-American beer.
All right. Kudos,
Ron?
then. Yes.
What are you drinking?
What I like to do, Brian, is I don't like to go with, a multinational conglomerate that cranks out beer for the masses. I like to keep it local while also getting a heavier beer for the fall. This is one I've brought to the table before. It is Cape May Brewing, and their white cream stout ties the room together. It's brewed with coffee beans, cocoa nibs, lactose, and vanilla. All the things that you hate in a beer. The only thing missing from this, Brian, is if they did this on nitro. Maybe I'll reach out to them.
I still
and
don't
ask.
understand what the benefit of the night. I do not want to hijack your drink of the week. So, Ron, please take a sip of that luscious beverage. You've had it before. It was worthy of bringing it back. Ron,
it's still so good. It's it's got a little bit of sweetness with the cocoa and the vanilla. You really taste it. It's got a little creamy finish because of the lactose, but.
He's going for more.
But it is a good beer, clocking in at 8.5%. So this will give me a pretty nice buzz as we get to After Dark later at 9:30. Which, for those of you in the know, if you become a Patreon subscriber at the bronze level or higher, you can join us live at 9:30 right after this podcast for After Dark. So hop on ronandbrianpodcast.com. It's only $10 a month. The cost of 2 slices of avocado toast. Get with it. Get to it.
It's really a way for the viewers to watching the show to be able to, say thanks back. We do this show I remember, it was one of the things that we put into our corporate documents when we were starting the corporation, was that we said the podcast will always be free. Anybody with an internet connection on this planet will have access to at least 1 hour a week of the Ron and Brian podcast. And people sat there and reached out and said, "Hey, listen, how can we thank you for all the efforts?" This is episode 228, people. That means that we have done a minimum of 228 hours of entertainment. We're probably a little bit closer to 300 at this point.
That'd be my
Who's
guess.
counting? I remember there was one episode where we went like an hour and 48 minutes. I didn't mean we. I meant I went an hour and 48 minutes.
I was going to say, I thought that was you.
Yes. But it's just a way for people for a few dollars a week, you get access not just to the types of stories we put behind the paywall, the kind of things that would make you blush if said at your dinner table in front of your parents. That's the stuff we put behind the paywall.
Right.
$10 a month. There are higher levels that you
Sure.
can go to.
Sure. If you want better swag, you can pay more money.
Sure.
Yeah. But so check it out. Just that's all we're saying. Just go to ronandbrianpodcast.com. Check it out. In the meantime, let's keep going with the best free content that you can find out there. It's Beef of the Week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week, my friend?
This one really hit home. Ron, it's being disappointed by your friends.
Interesting.
One of the things that I like to do is I feel I have done a very good job, and one of the things I'm proud of is that I feel like I have done a very good job of creating a friend network surrounding me that, how do I say this politely, that really feeds all the different energies and the different wavelengths that I operate on. And I had a friend this week just disappoint me.
Go
Do
on.
something that was so offensive. I had a friend who who wanted to watch a horror movie this week, and instead of watching it, and this was odd about this horror movie is that it was released on a streaming network the same time it was available in theaters.
Right.
And my friend, somebody who I care about, who I believe makes good decisions, my friend actually, instead of going to see this horror movie in a theater, big screen, dark, to really set the mood, my friend decided to watch this movie at 10 a.m. on a Saturday in his living room, and then turned around and had the balls to complain to me that he did not enjoy the movie.
The audacity.
So, yeah, it was to sit there and invest your time, your love into another human being, and then to have them, just show that all those efforts were wasted by making terrible, just an awful move, really shocked me and made me have to, realize that I need to reevaluate who I call a friend.
Well, hopefully this person can redeem themselves in your eyes at some point in the future.
Maybe. I mean, it might have helped if they ever took their wife to seek medical treatment. But that's neither here nor there.
All right, fair enough.
Ron,
Yes.
what's bothering you?
So Brian, and we've made this comment before. This has been a beef of both of ours in the past. My beef this week, Brian, is with the New York Yankees.
Oh.
As we speak, Game 4 going on right now in Cleveland. Yankees are up 3-1 in the top of the fourth. Meaningless, as we have seen the last 2 nights, as the Yankees have given up leads and lost the game in the 9th inning of both games. You and I, lifelong Yankees fans, proud tradition, 27 world championships, number of division championships, winning seasons, Hall of Fame players, legends of the game. And then to watch them play with the lack of heart and fire that they have against the Cleveland Guardians, it's been painful, Brian. It's been very painful. Even if we come back and somehow beat Cleveland, I feel we just at this point playing this type baseball have no chance to get past Houston. So it's depressing to me, Brian.
Going into the playoffs this year, I anybody that was willing to listen to me, and there's quite a few people, shockingly, I said to everybody that would hear me out that the New York Yankees do not have the skills to beat the Houston Astros, but we certainly are a better team than the Cleveland Guardians. What really is it's the bullpen.
Yeah,
I mean, we were up 5-3. Going into the late innings of the game, and to give up 3 runs in the bottom of the ninth, it was 5-4 with 2 outs.
Yeah,
we needed one more hit.
Could not get that. Could not get that out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I went to bed so angry that I kicked my dog. I kicked my dog. I rolled up the newspaper. I get the Long Island Newsday every day. Rolled up the newspaper, just beat my dog mercilessly. It was the only thing I could do to just get the anger out.
Now the Yankees may not be.
I don't actually have a dog, people. I just
Nice
don't want anyone
disclaimer
actually thinking that. Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't hurt my dog.
The Yankees may not be consistent, but you know what is, Brian? Our NFL locks of the week.
Locks.
Brian.
Ron.
Yes.
I feel
Please.
like I owe you an apology.
Why is that?
Because going into this week's NFL picks, I did not realize just how difficult picking the NFL was going to be. I sat there, and I mean, there were so many underdogs that won this week. I just sat there and said, there's no way that I could have picked 2 winners on a week like this. So I want to apologize. I haven't scored up anything, Ron. I have not looked, but off the bat, I feel like I let you down. I must have. I want to apologize to you.
You don't need to apologize, Brian, and I can see why you might think that. I felt, with your picks last week, maybe you were reading the wrong week on the NFL calendar. Maybe you needed your head examined. Maybe your erectile dysfunction medication was giving you blurry vision. But you said New England, maybe an up and down team. This is a week they're going to be up. New England +3. They won the whole damn thing, 38-15, a blowout. Good. Same thing with those Jets. You keep riding that Jets train, despite Green Bay having a 7.5 point advantage. Jets again win the whole damn thing, 27-10. Somehow, amazingly, you keep your record perfect for the season. So I don't know how you do it, but a toast to you, my friend.
I appreciate the congratulations, Ron, but the only way I can do this is that, I have, just by having my name mentioned next to yours, I mean, some of the greatness has rubbed off onto me. You went into this week 10-0 for the season. You picked 2 teams, and holy moly, Ron, not even close. The Bears were getting a point against the Commanders of Washington. You sat there and said, DC all the way, baby. Commanders winning 12-7. Also, the 49ers, you saw laying 6.5 at the Falcons, and you sat there and said, listen, Falcons at home, give me any points you're willing to share. I don't even think we needed them. In fact, you did not need those points. Falcons win 28-14. Again, 2-0, 12-0 for the season, Ron. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
How did you do it?
You know what? Sometimes, again, you go with your gut. Sometimes you go with your heart. Sometimes you meet somewhere in between.
Aw, that sounds like a Hallmark card.
It could be. Let's get one working on that.
Brian, what do you have this week?
This week, I like, and again, still cannot believe this line. Giants on the road at Jacksonville. Giants are getting 3 points. disrespecting the 5-1 Giants who knocked off Baltimore. Take the Giants +3, and then Dallas Cowboys, they welcome Detroit at home. Dallas -6.5. Take the points. Brian, who you like?
Listen, it's not so much who I like this week; it's who I don't like. I do not like the Texans. They, let me down this week. I thought that they might be a week 7 pick. After watching them this week, I sat there and said, the Texans, you stink. Raiders, -7. Lay the points. Also, who else don't I like? The Falcons. I watched them against the 49ers. I sat, from what I saw, the Falcons might be a 1-win wonder. There's no way that they can also come back after their victory this week. They're getting 6.5 points against the Bengals. I say Cincy, baby, the only way to go.
All right, I like where your head's at. So remember, bet with your head, not over it. We'll be following.
And also,
yes,
bet with your big head. Don't bet with your little head.
That's a
good
advice.
When you bet with the little head, you make some bad calls. Bet with the big head. Bet with Ron and Brian's head, and we will guarantee you wins.
Big sports night tonight. Obviously, we will be keeping up on the Yankees and Cleveland score. We will be also checking in on the big NFC East matchup. Big game in Philly tonight with the Cowboys coming in. The Eagles, depending on the line you look at, anywhere from a 5 to 6.5 point favorite. Right now, sports in Philadelphia out of control. We've got the Phillies in the NLCS now against the Padres. We got the Eagles at 6-0, and Flyers, I think, starting off 2-0.
John,
water ice.
water.
All right, Brian. What should we start off with this week? Should we do the follow up on the fishing competition that captivated us last week?
I think we start off with the update on that, and then we move quickly on. We have so many stories to get to this week, including we do have a listener letter. Ask Ron. We haven't done one of those in a while. Letter came in this week that I think is quite good, and we should feature Ask Ron.
All right, we'll get to that in a little bit. But last week, we told the story about anglers Jacob Runyon and Chase Kominski. They were participating in a fishing competition in Ohio. They won the competition by double the weight of the second place.
Congratulations to them.
One of the judges thought something wasn't quite right, that the weights were a little too much for the size of the fish they caught. So a judge cut open some of the fish, started finding metal weights in there, walleye, fillets, anything they could do to weigh down the fish and give them an advantage. So now they have been charged with cheating, attempted grand theft, and possessing criminal tools, all of which are felonies. Again, because prize money was $30,000 that they would have walked away with had they gotten away with their cheating.
Well, I think that's when you start talking about 3-2 now. Damn.
Yes, it is. Home run Indians. This is what we were talking about earlier in our beef of the week.
Fucking pitching, just fucking pitching. We're going to be very distracted this week, people. Right now, the Yankees only have a 64.9% chance of winning this game, according to ESPN.com. Powered by ESPN and Alex.
So the two men also face misdemeanor charges of unlawfully owning wild animals. So they're really just trying to throw whatever charges they can at these folks.
Well, I mean, what kind of animals are we talking here?
I have no idea. I mean, I guess perhaps with the walleye fillets that they cut up and put in the fish, I guess they were counting those as wild animals. I have no idea.
I don't know, but it's just I would never think that a fishing contest would be somewhere where it would have the nation's attention. Just everybody would be, the eyes of the world are on competitive fishing.
More importantly, the eyes of TikTok, because I am constantly getting bombarded with TikTok videos with people giving their theories about fishing now.
I mean, it's literally leaked through the entire fishing world. I mean, this week I went to my my local fishery, and I asked for a pound of salmon. And when I got a piece of fish, and when I cut it open, I mean, it was just massive, like iron weights were inside of it so that it could add up to a pound. I took the iron weights out. I was left with a quarter pound of salmon, Ron.
Ridiculous. I would go back and complain.
It's outrageous. All I wanted was a pound of salmon, and I got iron weights. So, the cheating scandal that's going on in the fishing industry has seeped down all the way to Rego Park, Queens.
Also outrageous this week, former Democratic House member and presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard announced that she was leaving the Democratic Party, calling it a, quote, an elitist cabal driven by cowardly wokeness and trading in anti-white racism. Brian, this is your girl. You're a Tulsi fan. Give me your thoughts on this subject.
Ron, I think, Hillary said it about 3 years ago. Tulsi Gabbard quite possibly is a Russian asset. It is very clear that Tulsi is no longer pro-America. The words that she is using, the political stances she is taking, are purely meant to divide the country. She's not trying to be a great unifier, which I thought she always was. I am now starting to question whether she ever served in either of the Iraq wars or Afghanistan. Did she go to? I don't remember. Also, I think that the gray strand of hair that she has,
right,
her trademark locks, I think that's fake. If you can't trust your politicians, if I can't go to sleep at night knowing that Tulsi Gabbard is out there defending my best interests, how can I sleep?
I don't know, man. You were all in on the Tulsi train, and I feel that she has let you down. I was not even aware that she was still a member of the Democratic Party, to be 100% honest.
I thought she was Team Joe Rogan.
Well, with the way she was talking, I thought she had at the very least moved over to the Libertarian Party.
I thought that she was taking payments from Roger Stone to give a public speech once a week.
I mean, she also appeared at CPAC. So I think that,
that's the giveaway. She's not a Democrat anymore.
I think when you do that, you have to pretty much say you're no longer part of the Democratic Party.
So are you implying that she probably was never really a Democrat?
I mean, I think maybe a dino, Democrat in name only.
Ew, is that a real term?
No, I just made it up because you have.
Oh
rhinos,
wow,
so
I could see you pulling that off. Look at that, William Esquire coming in with a wig reference.
I mean, it's always good to have at least one good Whig political party reference every podcast.
He's good like that. He's always good like that.
Yeah, exactly. Not good. Alex Jones getting more judgments against him for his Sandy Hook lies. Ordered on Wednesday by a Connecticut jury to pay $965 million to the families of the victims of the Sandy Hook massacre that he told lies about. They said on the news report I was watching, Alex Jones' net worth was apparently $270 million, which is ridiculous to me, but I guess not, knowing that, that kind of rhetoric makes money these days. But he has apparently done a lot to shift like real estate holdings into his wife's name. He's trying to claim bankruptcy. And even while the verdict was being read, he was live on his network asking for money, telling his fans that he would make sure that money did not go to these families.
Well, see, that's the part that I think is so fascinating, is the fact that, the dollar number is so astronomical.
Right.
It almost reaches a point where it's no longer based on actual damages, and it is now more than just a fictitious number being thrown out there just to imply a great punishment. But what I've not seen anywhere in the news is what is the likelihood of these families collecting, a portion of that money. I mean,
right.
It's just like you said, he's fundraising. He hasn't stopped fundraising. And yet when you look at what his actual assets are, it's a dwindling list. I mean, he knew right off the bat that he was going. And also keep in mind, none of these stories make a difference. He is still on whatever
Sure.
media source he's got, swinging the same set of lies.
And someone on one of the media channels made a good point. Like, it's, we don't have like debtors' prisons in this country. It's not
Right.
like if he doesn't pay these bills, there's few repercussions. I mean, they certainly will go after whatever assets he may hold. And I think between these verdicts and the Texas verdicts, and I think he's got one more case coming up that he will, I think, probably default and lose. I think it's more a
Can't
case
they go
of,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but can't they go after assets that he had and transferred?
I don't know about that. If it was transferred prior to this court
Verdict.
decision, I don't know how that works. I
don't know how it works either.
I'm not an educated man. I don't know about laws. But I think, obviously, I think the lawyers are going to go after and attempt to get as much of this as is legally
Sure.
possible for them to do.
Ron, I think in the world of improv, you never say, I don't know. I think you make up an answer even if you don't believe it.
But if I'm making up answers, am I any better than Alex Jones?
Yes, because I think you're making up answers in the hopes of the general good of society. You're not actually just telling bald-faced lies to ruin people's lives. I mean, to sit there and day in, day out go on the air to scream about how a child murdered at school by an AR-15 carrying nut job did not take place, that these kids did not ever exist, that the parents are paid actors by the Democratic Party who is paying them to pretend to mourn for their dead children so that they can go after gun rights. Just ludicrous to me.
Right. Well, and to listen to some of the stories of these parents after the verdict came out, I mean, you have families that were forced to move from Connecticut because Alex Jones had posted their addresses. Even
Sure.
after they moved, their new addresses were posted. You had families dealing with the fact that you had listeners and followers of Alex Jones literally digging up their children's graves to try and prove that there was no bodies in there.
Can we just say, but what kind of fucking idiot is a fan of Alex Jones and is going ahead and doing these kind of things?
Right.
Who is this human being that is going to sit there and watch Alex Jones and go, yeah, you know what? This school shooting never took place. I'm going to somehow show up to these people's houses and curse at them. I mean, wasn't Marjorie Taylor Smith or whatever her name is, wasn't she also hounding some of the parents when they were in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, no, she was. I mean, she's talked down about Sandy Hook. She's talked down about some of the people involved in the Parkland shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, just some horrible stuff. But again, I mean, I think you had a protest there in New York over the weekend by a group of individuals that believe birds aren't real. So I feel probably if you take a Venn diagram of the birds aren't real characters and the Alex Jones listeners, you've got pretty close to it being a complete circle.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, and those are the people that say that birds are actually homing devices
Correct.
put
They're
out by
spy
the
cameras.
government to just spy on people.
Yeah, without a doubt.
We have so embraced stupidity in this country. It's so fucking sad. But you know what's not sad, Ron?
What's that?
It's when listeners of the show write letters to us asking for advice.
I mean, if you want to embrace stupidity, I'm ready to give you some of mine. Let's
All right,
ask
because
Ron.
this week we had a listener write in a letter to Ron. So I thought this was quite interesting.
Okay.
They wrote this one to Ron. Hold on. I just want to fix up my screen right here. Ask Ron, people. What is the email address people can write to their questions?
You can always write to info at the Ron and Brian or just Ron and Brian podcast.
RonandBrianPodcast.com.
So info at RonandBrianPodcast.com.
That's right, people. We actually are the proud owners of a web domain. Go figure. Don't get scared. RonandBrianPodcast.com. We own that domain, Ron.
Yes, it is safe to go buy stuff on our web store, to email us there. But more importantly, Brian, to ask questions. What is the question this week?
Dear Ron, I have to center myself. My father-in-law, who lives out of state, regularly makes crude jokes and comments about his sex life or my sex life in my presence and in the presence of my wife, his wife, and others. He once commented to me that he would be excited to see his daughter, my wife, in bed with a woman. I have expressed to my wife and mother in law how uncomfortable it is, but he doesn't stop the comments, even when confronted. He claims he wants to be close to me, but refuses to address the concerns of his wife, daughter, and son in law. It's reached the point that I try to avoid my in laws when they visit, including volunteering to work extra shifts at night. It concerns me that he occasionally makes these tasteless comments around my young daughters. They think he's a dirty old man. But Ron, I can't stop being around him. But my wife and mother in law overlook his comments and think the world of him. Am I overreacting, Ron? How do I continue to interact with him given my distaste for him? Ron, help me. Creeped out in Georgia. Ron, what advice do you have for our listener?
Well, I think, and I'm going to say, I understand that he wanted to be anonymous. I don't know if he's from Georgia. I want to say this letter was written by Jared Kushner. It seems to track that this may be about our former president and his daughter Ivanka.
Could understand that.
I think you need to really have an intervention of some sort. That is even something we wouldn't talk about on After Dark. It's even too taboo for that. And I think you just need to get yourself away from the situation. I'm not even sure what type family that would be normal or accepted in.
Well, I mean, we're talking a family in Georgia.
True. I mean, if you're looking at Georgia standards, it's par for the course. Maybe he's not from Georgia. Maybe he's relocated. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough call, especially when the daughter and the mother don't have issue with it.
I would be really creeped out.
I would be as well.
I would be really creeped out if this guy is making comments about his daughter.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that.
I think so.
You think? You're not sure?
No, I'm not sure, Ron.
All right. You know what else creeps people out, or at least creeps Gen Z out, Brian? It's the thumbs up emoji. Apparently, article out this week talks about how Gen Zers are calling out the popular thumbs up emoji for being rude and hostile, even saying they feel attacked whenever they see it used in the workplace.
Hold on. Repeat that again, because if you send a thumbs up emoji to someone, that is a hostile act.
So this was a thread on Reddit apparently, where younger people they take the thumbs up emoji as it being very passive aggressive, unless you use it, ironically, like if you say, "Hey, can't wait to go stand in line at the DMV for 4 hours," thumbs up, then that's fine. But if you say like, "I agree," thumbs up, or "I approve," thumbs up, apparently it comes across as like sarcastic or passive aggressive or something like that.
That's horseshit, because that is just that is how they're internalizing a thumbs up emoji.
Well, that seems to be what the comments back were. Is it's really like a generational communication clash almost.
What I don't understand is just, and it is just, a common thing where the society's going is, it is what's important here is how this emoji made me feel. Right. Not how did this, what was your intent when sending this emoji?
And I think the other issue some of them have is when they get the thumbs up emoji versus like a written response, especially in the workplace. Like if you're a boss and you send a response and it's just a thumbs up, they're like, you didn't want to take the time to type out a meaningful response.
Yes. We would at the executive level where you and I are, we would get absolutely nothing done if we replied to every email with a personal message.
When you are a C-suite residents like we are, I get it.
I wish I had your headshot photo right now. I could put on.
Well, what are you going to do? What else is going on this week, Brian? Alaska's snow crab season canceled unexpectedly due to a dwindling population. Apparently, numbers of Alaskan snow crabs are down 90% year over year. Some very troubling information that is being attributed to continuing the climate change and the higher temperatures.
First off, my question is, will there be a season of Deadliest Catch that I can watch? Because that's my first question is, how does this affect me? And the real question is, I enjoy watching Deadliest Catch on A&E, voiced by Mike Rowe.
Okay.
Fascinating. I find those, those deep sea fishermen, I mean, Jesus, these guys are getting hurt all the time. They're looking at boats that are literally, just bouncing all over. The waves are absolutely ludicrous. So, also, next question is, how much am I going to have to pay when I order a pound and a half of crabs inside of my seafood boil? I mean, you know how much of a fan I am at seafood boils. I love a good seafood boil. They just put it all in a plastic bag, and they just cook everything up. They do it to the sauce that you like. You get your hands a little dirty, which is kind of fun. You get to wear that little plastic apron. And you get to look down at the people, at other tables who didn't go seafood boil, didn't get any crabs. They were ordering fried shrimp with fries.
Well, you may spend a little bit more. However, the expectation is countries such as Canada, Russia, and Japan will make up for the shortfalls with their supply. However, Alaska could be in extended trouble. It does take 7 to 8 years for these crabs to grow to the point where they can be harvested. There is the expectation that a number of shipping companies could go out of business, could face bankruptcy, and overall losses could total over $1 billion.
Those companies that are going to go out of business, don't you think they should just learn a different skill? Pivot?
I mean, I think pivot. I mean, there's got to be other stuff in the water up there in Alaska.
Sure. I would imagine there's king crab. Why don't they just, not pull up the snow crab? Why don't they just pull up the king crab?
I mean, I think you've solved their problem. Maybe you should get on the horn to somebody up there in Alaska.
Listen, it's not the first time, nor the last time that I would, have saved the day for a government agency in a bind.
Let's see, what else? We're just blowing through stories left and right here.
Well, there were so many to talk about this week.
It was quite the week, without a doubt. It was quite a week. What other ones do we have here? Let me pull up a photo. We got to talk about the Mike Itkis story.
I was asking if we could save this for Patreon so we could watch some of the video, but apparently, nope. You want to do it during the regular podcast, Ron? Remember, we are on Facebook, which is family friendly. We are on YouTube, family friendly. The story you're about to do, spicy.
I think we have to give them a little teaser as to what they can expect sometimes in the After Dark. So this gentleman on the screen up here, he's a congressional candidate in your neck of the woods, I believe, Brian, isn't he?
Oh, I'll be voting for this man.
Is he in literally your neck of the woods? Is this someone you can vote for?
No, I believe he's in Manhattan. I'm only voting for the Queens councilman. But this guy's got balls.
I thought you voted wherever possible in all of the 5 bureaus. That's what you said.
That is only in the 2020 general election when I voted 7 times for Joe Biden.
Well, yes, he's a Manhattan congressional candidate. He runs in New York's 12th district. He is a long shot third-party hopeful, expected to lose to Democratic Representative Jerry Nadler. And he is putting together a very sex-positive platform, and to do so, he put up a 13-minute sex tape with movie star Nicole Sage.
Oh, wait a second. So he hired a porn star to make a porn movie, and then he released it?
And then he released it, yes.
Why on earth would he do that?
He posted the video titled Bucket List Bonanza to a popular porn website as, quote, a conversation piece.
That sounds absolutely ludicrous. More importantly, Ron, what were your thoughts about the movie?
I have not had a chance to watch it yet. What about yourself?
I actually didn't watch it either. I remember I asked you to do it.
So let's see here. I did not get... I'm reading his background, though. He says he's not married, no kids. not celibate, and he says he is dedicated to making sexual rights explicit by ending adultery laws and decriminalizing and legalizing sex work. However, he also appears to target child support payments, writing that, quote, men should not be required to support biological children without prior agreement. Going to be a little
Back
tough
that
to
up
get.
again.
He apparently
Men
feels
shouldn't support biological children
without
unless
prior agreement.
Meaning, I agree that I'm going to pay for this child after it's born.
Correct. If his thought is if a man gets a woman pregnant accidentally, the man should not have to pay child support.
This sounds like a man who has been divorced a couple of times and has writing a check to at least 2 or 3 different women a month.
So the Nadler campaign declined to comment on the competitor's sex tape, but the Republican opponent, Mike Zumbluskas, said, hey, you got to do what you got to do.
It just doesn't. I mean, I understand. Listen, I understand that in today's world of politics, anything you need to do to get publicity, to get people talking about you, this is apparently, wasn't there somebody in New York, I think it was a year ago, who put out like a bondage video, or it was I thought I remember some kind of BDSM political candidate where a video of his got leaked online, and we all sat there and said, no, you leaked it. We know you did. But apparently this guy's got the balls to sit there and say, no, I leaked it. Here, go watch a video of me having sex. And by the way, he put it on Pornhub,
of course,
which is, also, just similar to the Ron and Brian podcast, free for the masses.
That's right. I mean, they do also have a pay site, so you can always hop on that if you want.
Who's paying for it?
It's apparently as we discuss often after dark, there are a ton of OnlyFans content creators that are getting paid for their work.
And we have several stories for after dark to talk about.
A fugitive in Australia who made headlines for his highly identifiable face tattoo was finally arrested this week after being on the run for 2 weeks. A gentleman by the name of James Sutton has a very recognizable face, as you can see, with this beast tattoo across his forehead. He was arrested.
He looks like he fell asleep at a college party, passed out drunk, and right next to him on the end table was a glass filled with Sharpies. And the people at the party literally just started drawing all over his face. Why would he not tattoo this area? Like he's tattooed
above the nose or below the nose, you mean?
No, the below the nose, the Fu Manchu area where he would be growing facial hair. We did not tattoo that area.
And just one side, and I like how he seems to have tattooed his forehead along his existing hairline. I mean, when that recedes, my friend, you're going to need to get some work done there. So he was on the run after skipping a court date for charges of domestic violence, assault, and property damage. He was refused bail, so he is sitting in jail right now over in Australia.
See, that's a shame, because if he were in New York, we are firm believers in bail reform. He'd be walking the streets right now.
Here's the thing. Like, I'm not a fan of the face tattoo, but I've seen people with face tattoos that look good. This is just a horrible collection of face tattoos.
Can you? I'm willing to talk for the next 45 minutes, if I need to. But I challenge you to find me one person who has a face tattoo that looks good.
I'd have to go hunting, and I should have done that prior to the show.
I will let you go Google image search right now, face tattoo, and you can go to page 38, and I challenge you to find me one that we can agree looks good.
We'll have to get back to that at some point.
Maybe an update when he is finally here. Like William Esquire, Mike Tyson. That's a terrible tattoo.
Yeah, I didn't. And that's why I didn't say his name. I could have easily said, "Oh, look at Mike Tyson's tattoo," but I did not. I did not say that.
By the way, if Mike Tyson ever watches this video, I love your tattoo. By the way, sorry.
Brian, A more important question for me to ask.
Mm-hmm.
What are you watching?
This week, Ron, I watched Halloween Ends, the final segment of a trilogy which featured the return of Jamie Lee Curtis to the role of
Laurie Strode?
Laurie Strode, not Stroud.
Strode,
Maybe
excuse
that's the
me.
way they pronounce it in Pennsylvania, but it is Laurie Strode. This featured a multi-generational family as they battle Mike Myers. This was the final movie of the trilogy. What were your thoughts? I mean, was it the greatest Halloween movie you ever saw?
No, not even close. It was, I felt the first half of the movie was slow. It was plotting. The second half was okay. I think maybe the last 10 to 15 minutes were watchable. Overall, I think it was disappointing, and I think the story just didn't make sense at all.
Now, Ron, when you're in the movie theater and you're watching it at night, and they start dimming the lights in the theater because they've just finished playing the last preview, and a hush falls over the crowd as other people in that movie theater, and suddenly they start the opening credits. You hear the theme song. Dee, 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 dee. Suddenly, the words come across the screen. Halloween ends, and the theater goes crazy, and you realize that you are in a room filled with just fans of the horror genre, fans of the Halloween series. Did that also cause the hairs on your neck to just kind of stand out? I mean, to me, that was one of the most thrilling moments of 2022.
Brian, as you already know, I did not go to watch this in a movie theater.
You didn't? You didn't see it hold on. You didn't see it in a movie theater, Ron?
I did not. Being an Xfinity subscriber, I did have it available for free to stream on Peacock. And as you may have alluded to, if you had alluded to during your beef of the week, yes, I did start watching it during the daytime. Only got through the first half of it and then finished the second half in the evening. So maybe that's more applicable after dark. Yes.
So you're telling me my beef of the week when I was complaining about a friend of mine who decided to watch a Halloween movie at 10 a.m. on a Saturday while he was still drinking his morning coffee, not putting himself into the right headspace for a horror movie? You're saying that friend was you?
You know it was me, Brian, and your words hurt. Your words always hurt, but that's all right. That's how you want to be.
I'm not saying it was a great movie. I'm not even saying it was a good movie, but none of these three movies were good. The horror genre as a whole is played out.
Right. This was, I think Halloween Kills was better than Halloween Ends. What I don't get is the premise of the movie with another character.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert! With another character almost becoming like a protege of Michael Myers for no reason whatsoever. That is never really explained.
Okay, in my mind, what I was going to say here was they were trying something different. You can only have so many movies doing the exact same story, which is everybody's living their life in Haddonfield, Illinois. None of them are expecting that Michael Myers will come and start killing members of the family, even though year in, year out, every movie, Michael Myers slaughters half the town of Haddonfield. There is some suspension of disbelief here during a horror series, and for you to sit there and say that for them to try to go out of the norm for the genre and try to say, hey, you know what, let's try something different, let's do something that hasn't happened yet. I give them some points for trying something differently.
Fair enough. You can give them points.
Good question here, Ron. What did you think of the Rob Zombie Halloween flicks?
I liked them. I liked the first one a lot better than I did the second one, but I thought the first one was an interesting take on it.
I felt it was. I didn't need as much backstory as Rob Zombie felt the need to give.
Okay.
I felt that one of the things that made Michael Myers such a great horror movie character was that nobody could really understand why he just suddenly woke up one day and became a zombified killer. You know, just lacking of personality, soul, whatnot. Where I think when Zombie started his two movies, he basically said, "I'm going to spend the first half an hour and I'm going to give you the backstory
Right.
of Michael Myers," and I felt that actually kind of detracted from us. Also, Zombie felt the need to make Mike Myers 8'4", whereas the thing that made Michael Myers so scary was that he was just a human being who just decided to go on a killing spree.
But Rob
But thank
Zombie
you,
in
Alan.
general,
Great question.
Rob Zombie in
Great
general
question.
makes good horror movies.
Have
my
you
opinion.
seen The Munsters?
I have not yet. No.
Me neither. I've heard nothing but terrible things about it.
The Munsters I remember watching the Munsters as a kid, but it wasn't a thing for me. Like, I wasn't like, oh, the Munsters is great. Like, so it didn't hold
Were
much
you
interest.
scared off by Fred Gwynn? Is that what was going on?
I don't believe so, no.
Were you scared off by Grandpa Al Lewis?
A little
'Cause
bit,
We
yes.
know that you've professed multiple times that you had a thing for Lily.
Well, who didn't? I mean, come on. What I did watch this week, Brian, thank you for asking, on the Paramount Plus network, a movie called Significant Other. It's a horror movie in the kind of the alien invasion genre. Surprisingly good. Again, not a great movie, but definitely a decent film to watch on a Friday night.
Hold on a second. Did you say that you watched something on the Paramount Plus network?
I did, yes.
That's funny because I don't think that I have access to Paramount Plus.
No? Well, I'll have to send you my
So
sign-in information.
I'm a little concerned that somebody who has been enjoying my Disney Plus account for years now would be sitting on access to a streaming service and withhold it from me.
Well, I believe I gave you access to my AMC Plus account.
And I have used it.
All right. But I will send you my Paramount Plus. But regardless, I will say, again, Significant Other, about a couple that goes into the woods on a little hiking trip, and sinister things happen.
Such as?
I don't. It's one of those things where it's actually kind of a clever little twist that they do. So I actually don't want to spoil it for you. I would like you to watch that movie and then get back to me and think about. Let me know how it is.
I would need to have access to Paramount Plus for me to watch.
And we'll have to. Mayor of Kingstown. I think, is that the one with Jeremy Renner?
I know he put out a great rock album recently.
But that is a show. Now that I have my Paramount Plus access again, I do need to check out some of the series on there. So
The Mayor of Kingstown. Why does that does sound familiar?
Yeah, that's the one with Jeremy Renner.
Because it's a thriller starring Emma Laird, Kyle Chandler, Nicole Galicia, Hugh Dillon, Taylor Hanley.
Oh, and I
Jeremy
also
Renner.
attempted to start watching on Netflix that series, The Watcher, about that family
Westfield,
in
New Jersey.
Yeah.
We all know how scary Westfield, New Jersey is.
I hated that show. I got through the
I wanted
first
to watch
episode.
it.
Watch it and figure it out. I think it was just too, like, I would have liked an actual documentary about the experience. This is just like a theatrical retelling with a lot of poetic license that they take, and it's just way over the top.
I'm sorry, as somebody who doesn't live in New Jersey, how can you determine what was poetic license?
You're right. I mean, again, it's just one man's humble opinion, Brian.
I mean, to me, it's do you want to tell the our viewers what the basis of this show is?
So it basically is about a family who buys this house in Westfield, New Jersey. Did you just say? And then
Westfield, New Jersey, one of the scariest towns in all of New Jersey.
And then they get a letter from someone that says that he and his family have been watching the house for years, and apparently you find out the prior owners apparently had gotten letters from this person, and they just signed the letters, The Watcher. So I don't know. It's just very over the top.
How do people in Philadelphia say "watcher"? I imagine there's got to be a good
Watcha. Hey, did you catch
Watcha.
the Watcha?
Gotta watch the watcher.
Speaking of Philadelphia, Eagles on the board with the first touchdown, leading 7-0 now.
Need Cowboys today.
Right now, Eagles covering. Bring it home, baby. I need that money.
Damn it.
Anything else you're watching, Brian, or should we move on to more horrible
I
stories?
watched some of the TV reboot interview with a vampire. I watched the first episode
how is
earlier
that?
today. If you can get past Eric Bogosian, I actually thought it was not bad.
Okay.
Here we go. Look at this. William Esquire, because everything involving William Esquire has to deal with booze, points out that Westfield, New Jersey has one of the 2 Trader Joe's in the state that sells booze.
Bigger question, are there any Tim Hortons in Westfield, New Jersey?
Probably not, but there is a creepy guy who's sending letters to people who live in a house.
All right.
I mean, I would never go to Westfield. I would never go to Westfield. It's a terrible town. I mean, I imagine some people agree with me.
Moving on, years ago, we had talked about the incel population we have here in the United States and how dangerous they're becoming. We have an incel in Ohio sentenced he's facing life in prison after pleading guilty to plotting to slaughter 3,000 sorority girls at an Ohio university. This gentleman here, Trey Genko, he wrote a manifesto in which he said he wanted to slaughter women, quote, out of hatred, jealousy, and revenge, and referred to death as the great equalizer, according to court documents. He pled guilty to planning to shoot up the unnamed university on Tuesday, and he now awaits sentencing. Like it says, he could face up to life in prison.
And somehow Alex Jones is walking the streets. This guy should go to jail right off the bat for wearing a bright orange sweatshirt. I mean, that right off the bat, the fashion police should be all over this man. Also, from a technological perspective, doesn't know that when taking a mirror selfie, you always turn the flash off.
There you go. In 2019, he bought tactical gloves, a bulletproof vest, a hoodie bearing the word revenge, cargo pants, a Bowie knife, a skull face mask, 2 Glock 17 magazines, a 9mm Glock clip, and a holster.
You know what would have made this man less filled with rage and hate?
What's that?
Had he seen the video that New York Council candidate
Mike
Itkiss uploaded to Pornhub of him having sex with a porn star. After watching that 12 minutes, this kid would be absolutely of the mindset that mass murder is never the way to go. Mike Itkiss, bringing all people together, peace for all humanity.
I mean, I think in general, we can all agree that mass murder is bad. You would hope.
Well, I think also it's just the idea of these involuntary or involuntarily celibate.
Involuntary celibate.
I thought it was involuntarily. That just sounds grammatically more correct.
It could be either, but I think you get the
Either
point
way.
across either way.
Just the idea of is the fact that they're, and this just speaks to the narcissism of of the collective American male, is the fact that if they're not having sex or women are not finding them desirable, well, then the only way that that's possible is for the women of America to be wrong,
right,
and to not see the genius and what's so amazing about these guys. I mean, the first question I would normally have, and had multiple times throughout my college career, was why aren't women having sex with me? And then you have to reevaluate yourself to sit there and say, what energy am I putting out there? What personality am I out there? What is it that women are looking for, and why aren't they having sex with me? I mean, instead, this kid decides, you know what? Fuck all these women. I'm going to kill 3,000 of them.
Yeah, it was never a mystery to me my entire life why women did not want to have sex with me. Like, it was never a question. Like, I'm still... That's
because you were always having sex.
I'm still shocked to this day that I found a woman to marry me. Still shocked.
Well, I mean, she's a wonderful woman.
She is, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yankees get another run on the board, 4-2 now.
4-2 Yankees. All right, we'll take it. Right now, they have an 82.9% probability of winning this game, according to our fine people updating us constantly over at ESPN Analytics. Stanton
Now,
hitting a sac fly to left.
staying in Ohio, we have a former Ohio high school teacher's assistant and softball coach who has pled guilty to charges related to a sexual relationship with a student. She reportedly begged the student not to tell authorities about. This is Ashley Risen, 31, an employee at New Miami High School, facing 5 years in jail after pleading guilty to sexual battery and gross sexual imposition. In regards to allegations she had sex with a 17-year-old student, apparently 8 different times in April of 2021.
Ron, there's nothing gross about this woman having sex with one of her students. That's all I'm going to say. Nothing gross about it.
All right.
Nothing gross.
Well, she is.
And I realize I'm going to catch some flack here from the woke police. But does it say in the article whether the student was a male or female?
It does not state at all. It does not apply any pronouns to the individual. She was a coach on the girls' softball and basketball teams.
So it was a girl.
But it was only one victim. But they do not clarify if it was a male or female student.
Interesting. I'm going to say it was a female student willing to put up $10 on this if anybody wants to take the other side.
Anyone want any of that action? Email info@ronandbrianpodcast.com. Brian,
I'll take the bet.
We've got a I don't want to call it a great Florida story, but it is a very Florida story. And this is of 2 Florida dads accused of shooting each other's daughters in a road rage incident. Brian, you brought this story to the table.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened here.
So you've got these 2 fathers are driving down a Florida highway with their daughters. Different cars. It happens to just be coincidental father-daughter. In about 20 years from now, these daughters' husbands are going to be writing the podcast, "Dear Ron, my my father-in-law is making inappropriate comments about my wife." These guys are driving. They get into a road rage incident. They are bumping vehicles against each other as opposed to bumping swords, which is that's a story we're going to be talking about on After Dark. Only $10 a month. If you want to subscribe to the Patreon. But these guys are driving dangerously. They're brake checking each other. That's right, Ron. I know the term brake checking.
Impressive.
May not be driving, may not be on the road, but I know what a brake check is. Brake checking, basically asking to get into an accident. Finally, one pulls over, immediately exits his vehicle with a gun. Other guy pulls his car over, runs out. He, of course, because this is Florida, he's also armed with a handgun. Both these men just start shooting at each other. And because the story is Florida, not only do they miss each other, but their shots hit the daughter of the man that they're shooting of. How does that happen?
That I'm not sure. So you've got I believe a 5-year-old was shot in the leg while another bullet hit the 14-year-old daughter in the back, causing a collapsed lung.
Jesus, listen, I know I'm going to catch heat on this, but this is what happens when you have no gun control. You have stupid people with guns. First off, this man with the beard on the left, his hair is receding very quickly. He's going to be in the same hair club as the guy on the right. These 2 men have more in common than they thought. They should be working together, not against each other.
Now, what's amazing is after each child was shot, the 2 of them pulled over and argued face to face. So neither one said, "My child is shot.
Nope.
Maybe we should go to a hospital."
Correct.
No, both of them were like, and there was a police car there too. They're like, let's pull over by the police car and continue this argument with our children bleeding in our vehicles.
Well, this is one of the issues that one of the problems that is going on in America right now. It's just this refusal to believe you've done anything wrong.
Right.
It is this clinging to this idea of I'm the victim here. I've been wronged. And then, just there's this blind faith that they're putting in, their victimhood that, even after you have shot wildly at a man's car and shot his daughter, you should pull over to a police officer, explain what happened, and he's going to side with you.
Right. Well, both of them were arrested by the officer, charged with felony attempted murder, and both released on bail.
Unbelievable. These guys should not be out. These
Right.
guys belong in jail.
And I think we're running up towards the time that we normally end, but I think we would be remiss if we did not do at least one celebrity obituary, and that is for the legend Angela Lansbury, stage, screen, Broadway, leaving us this week at the age of 96.
Ron, you also left out that she was an author.
Oh, my apologies.
She wrote so many books when she was living up in Cape Cove, in Northeast America. When she was, I believe she was really good friends with Tom Bosley, who was the mayor of that town or the sheriff. You're not going to help me here whatsoever.
I'm not going to help you at all
No.
because I like when you go down these
Bastard.
pathways sometimes. And
Bastard.
but
What
tell
was her name?
tell the
Jessica. She was Jessica Fletcher on
Jessica Fletcher and Murder She Wrote. Probably
Murder, She
what
Wrote. I'm gonna
most
tell you
of
something.
the
That show, Murder She Wrote, was for me the trigger for my school anxiety because Murder She Wrote was on Sundays from 7 to 8. And I knew at 8 o'clock was when my parents would basically say to me, okay, time to wind down. Go brush your teeth, put your pajamas on. The weekend is over. Go to bed. You have now 5 days of school ahead of you. So as soon as, Jessica Fletcher was starting to point out who the real killer was, that's when I knew. Start panicking because I had a week of school ahead.
And tell the Manson story because that was like a side story that got put into a lot of her obituaries, which I had no idea about.
So in the late 60s, she is living with her husband in the Los Angeles area. Her daughter, who I don't know if you want to pull up a photo of the daughter. Daughter's had a rough life.
Okay, I'll try. Keep going.
I think it's in the one of the stories I put up on the Google Doc. So the daughter starts falling around with this bunch of people who are all doing drugs and whatnot. And apparently, her son, Angela Lansbury's son, is also involved in drugs. But the daughter was really starting to scare Angela Lansbury. Zoom in on the daughter if you can. No offense, but this is one of those few cases where the mother looks better than the daughter.
Okay.
The daughter looks like she's about 20 years older than Angela Lansbury in this photo. This, people, is why you do not do hard drugs. That's not even a joke. She, openly struggled with addiction for years, and drugs take a toll. That's the physical embodiment. On the left, drugs. On the right, no drugs. Anyway, so Angela Lansbury starts getting worried for her daughter. She's falling in with this wrong crowd, and she's struggling to figure out a way to get her daughter to stop hanging out with these people. To the point where she started getting so scared of these people and the effect they were having on her daughter that she literally packed up her whole family and moved from California to, I believe it was Ireland.
Yes.
Where she just relocated her family to basically get them away from all the bad influences. And these people that her daughter was hanging out with were the Manson family, Charles Manson, who would go on a short period afterwards to slaughter, I believe it was 5 people in California to bring on Helter Skelter.
I mean, smart choice on her part. I mean, her daughter could very well be sitting in prison right now if she hadn't done that.
Speaking of sitting in prison, you know who's still in prison right now, Ron?
Who's that?
You don't know who?
I hope you'll tell me.
Okay, I lined up these stories right next to each other. Patricia Krenwinkel, California Governor Gavin Newsom rejected the parole recommendation put forth by the California Parole Board that Manson family member Patricia Krenwinkel received parole. She had been denied 14 straight times. However, the 15th time she went up in front of the board, she accepted, that Mr. Manson was racist and his apocalyptic ideologies were wrong. She claimed that she was a victim of Manson's abuse. And she basically sat there and said, she has been, what's the word? Not reconciled, rehabilitated.
Reformed?
No longer a threat to society. And California Gavin Newsom, governor, sat there and said, no, Patricia Krenwinkel, you're going to stay in prison, you bitch.
Well, I don't think he said that last part.
She's done 51 years.
Wow.
She's the longest incarcerated woman still in prison in the United States.
Yeah, she's not getting out, is my feeling. It's my take.
Well, the parole board did recommend that she get released. Why did my voice just crack like, get released?
Released.
Can I get a release?
So we'll start to wrap things up here. We've got Yankees up 4-2, bottom of the sixth. We'll see if they can hold on, force a game 5. Meanwhile, down at Lincoln Financial Field, Eagles now up 14-0 on the Dallas Cowboys. My cover looks good at the moment. We'll see how things continue. But you know what looks even better is that After Dark coming up in 20 minutes. So if you are a Patreon subscriber, obviously we will see you there. Brian rocking the John Hinckley merch. We'll talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about that on After Dark a little bit. Kind of give people an update on that. So again, go to ronandbrianpodcast.com, click in the upper right-hand corner to become a patron. Join us at the bronze level or higher, and you can get access to the live After Dark coming up in just 19 minutes now. Just right around the corner. Brian, anything else before we wrap up episode 228?
This has been an incredible 70 minutes. I appreciate everybody for joining us. Thank you for all your support. The downloads keep increasing every week. That the program we put forth was that the tell a friend program really has just this spreading of the show globally has really kicked in. Just been fascinating.
All right. Well, again, I too thank everybody for joining us. Look forward to seeing all of our Patreon folks in a little bit. Everybody else, we will see you next week. Be well to each other. Take care. Brian, give us one final thought before we go.
Be kind to each other. This place is a dark, dreary world. If you have an opportunity to do something nice for another human being, without the primary goal being that it is repaid to you some way or another, just do something nice for someone.
There you go. I think of no better words to end on. So we will catch everybody else next week.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you again